Hazard is finally here, and he's finally playable. I have played like 5 games of him maybe. I want to give you my very, very early first impressions of him. Something for you guys this weekend. Extra video for the weekend because he came out. But this is Hazard, and I think my initial first impression about him is that it feels like he breaks a lot of rules, and he does a lot of really weird stuff, or he has a lot of weird stuff that he can do, and I'm not so sure about what his really ideal playstyle or maps are yet. I haven't really gotten to delve into a lot of role queue. I played a couple games, but not that many. But he's really fun. He's got a lot of really interesting stuff. There's a lot to go over. So I think we'll do this ability by ability. So first off, the primary fire, it feels pretty good. It's got decent range on it. And when you're in the practice range, it's going to feel like, okay, I feel like I'm doing like a lot of damage. But honestly, once you get out on the battlefield and you're kind of poking at that range, it feels like you're doing substantially less, probably because of all the healing involved. And, you know, these bots have gigantic heads that you're not going to be hitting. So you're going to be doing a lot more body shot damage as well. The fire is fun. It does encourage you to get close, obviously, because it is shotgun-esque. Which, you know, he's a tank. I feel like he's like close to mid-range is his ideal scenario, although mostly probably close range is what I would have to say for Hazard here, just because it's much more consistent at those close ranges. And there's a couple of other things in his kit that, you know, kind of make it so that you want to play as close as possible. Specifically the block. So the block is on a resource meter, and I don't know what the exact damage numbers are, but it does feel like you block a lot of damage. Remember, you also have a bunch of armor as well. I think his total health pool is 650 when you're not in no limits, because the practice range, it says this thing is 500. But what's really crucial about the block is that you are trying your very best not to use it until you're close, right? Because then it just starts doing damage to the people in front of you. If I had to guess, there's a possibility he's going to be a really effective anti-brawl character, where he kind of just gets in, or ideally he drops in on you, and he does this insane amount of cleave damage, and then he leaves. Or he, you know, tries to disrupt you with his wall, which we'll talk about later. But that could be like really interesting. Like, instead of like a wrecking ball trying to disrupt a brawl, you could do this guy instead, maybe on some maps that are a little closer range, not as open, because I think he also does suffer a little bit in the open. He struggles to actually get out, because okay, you know what, and then we'll talk about the really weird part of his kit, the leap. The leap feels really strange, and I think it takes a lot of getting used to. So it doesn't really go that fast, and it is on a pretty short cooldown, which is nice, but it doesn't go that far, it doesn't go that fast. And also being able to, like, you know, you can psych people out, you can cancel it early and just do the slash. I think that's really fun. Obviously you can go up to a wall and then like wall climb it, because remember, he kind of has like a half wall climb as well. So a lot of you know, just regular like vertical mobility stuff. The really weird thing, two really weird things about this ability. One, if you're not, it will always go forward in some regard, right? Like when you hold like Winston jump, you kind of can make it go exactly where you are. This one, not so much. It really does feel like, oh, maybe if you jump, but if you're just on the ground here and you're holding back and using it, you will go forward. I think I literally just discovered a tech. Like if you jump, okay, I messed that up. I have a feeling though that if you jump, you might actually be able to, yeah, you can offset it a lot more. So, okay, there you go. There's another interesting little tech you can do. Speaking of tech, you can B-hop this. So you'll go, and then now you're, what's it called? You've been able to like turn around, right? Like you can kind of get a little more distance on it. That is really crucial, because imagine somebody is running away around this corner, and then I come around and I I come in and I go way further than they're expecting, right? That's really cool. Another nice quality of life thing that I found out is that you can just melee and it will do the slash. So it'll feel like you're just trying to like do a melee. Because, you know, if you, when you see that and you feel like you are meleeing, the game kind of understands. I think that's really good. Again, the really weird thing about this is that you are fully actionable during this. You can use every single ability you have. So when I'm jumping, I can fire. When I'm jumping, I can fire my wall. When I'm jumping, I can block, which looks really weird, to be honest with you, but you can do it. So you aren't canceling the ability, you are literally using everything else while you are jumping. It is extremely weird. No other leap or type ability like this, you know, Doomfist Slam or Winston Jump, they don't work like this at all. It feels so strange to me. Trying to remember that I can actually fire in the middle of this to like get the combo is really difficult, just because of like all the muscle memory I have built up with Winston and Doomfist. It's really strange in that regard, but that makes it really useful, right? Because now you can put up a lot of damage just by shooting right before you get there and doing that, or you can like really trick up your opponent, right? You can like just jump at them and throw the wall, and then now you kind of don't know what's going on, where they're going. It's also maybe a way to get the wall down quicker. You can jump in to maybe body block somebody and then go right for the block, right? There's a lot of stuff you can do. I mean, you can jump in if your jump you think is going to take a lot of resources or a lot of damage, you can block during it, and then you'll, you know, have wasted some resource and some damage on the table, but you'll get in safer. There's a lot of stuff you can do, and after using anything, you can still shoot, or sorry, you can still do the slash, right? So if I wanted to, say, jump and throw my wall, I can still slash. I hit the platform on accident there, but, you know, jump, block, I can still slash. I hit the wrong button. I'm getting used to this character still. Let's talk about the wall. The wall is really interesting because it fires in a completely straight line, which is something I had to get used to. I wasn't really quite ready for that because it is a projectile, but it just goes in a super straight line. It knocks people back. It does some damage, just a little bit of damage. But the big thing about it is that it stays, and you saw it, it knocks back whoever is still there, right? So he's going to go right back to his spot and then get knocked back again. This can be extremely annoying. As I have learned against all of the hazards that we've played against, that it can really be annoying if you don't break it. It doesn't have a lot of health, but if you don't deal with it, it can really mess you up, right? Especially hazards whose jump kind of gets disrupted really badly by knockback. I think it's like one of the worst feeling jumps when you get knocked back. Because it feels like you actually like can't do anything. Maybe it's because there's so much of your damage tied to it. That might be why it feels so bad. But yeah, it really does feel pretty bad when you get that. You can also use this, you know, you can put it on walls. You can do a lot of different weird, cool stuff that I'm sure we'll start figuring out as we go along. But I think this ability is really cool. It's on a pretty long cooldown, so I don't think it's terribly like broken by any means, especially since it's also pretty weak with damage or health wise. So I'm here for it. I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. But again, it's a buildable that just creates like a field around it. Like it's another thing that's like you don't think that the buildable, like, you know, it doesn't exactly look like Maywall, but Maywall's the only other thing like this in the game. You can stand right by that, right? With this one, you can't, right? So if you're not going to accidentally get some extra use out of it as an enemy, because you can't really play around it that much because it will knock you back, right? And I think that's a really big thing about this one, is that you can't play it for cover if you are the enemy. It doesn't have like any use to you except for like LOS blocking, right? So that is another strange thing. And then his ult, where I think a lot of people were like, whoa, this is kind of broken. It goes through walls. And I think it going through walls is a little silly, to be honest with you, but it is just a route. You are fully actionable other than movement. So I think it actually isn't like too terribly like overpowered per se. It also, like, you know, it takes a second for you to apply it, so you can't just instantly get it. So there is a bit of you having to predict where people are gonna go. But yeah, this is I think it's fine. I think it's I think it'll be okay. I don't think it'll be super overpowered. It's a little underwhelming as an ult, to be honest with you. But the rest of his kit is so cool and so fun that I don't quite mind that much. And of course, you can still do all your weirdo stuff with all your movement and everything. The only thing that, you know, first impressions of this character, if I had to guess, non-mobile characters are going to actually completely suffer against this guy. If you don't have like a bailout tool of any regard or any mobility, think of like a Zen, think of like, you know, like an Ana even. If she doesn't have sleep dart, but that kind of stuff, this is what he is going to do. He is going to jump at you, shoot, dash, and then he's going to block. And that block does like 200 damage if you have the whole thing. So if you're non-mobile and you can't really deal with this, you know, Zenyatta, I think, is a good example. You're going to die. He's just going to be able to get in your face and block, and it's going to do, you know, a lot of damage to you. I don't want to, you know, say, like, when I do my good, the bad, and the hazard video, which will come out probably on Monday, if I had to guess, then I'll talk a little more about what I think they can do to some of his abilities, because I don't know if any of them are in like the perfect state right now. A lot of them are really cool. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff, but especially for the block, I think there need to be a couple of different things, because just getting up in some character's grill without any resources and just holding the button, I think is really lame and really like uninteresting, right? Kind of like blocking them in there, just because it's tied to his, you know, defensive resource. And I think the idea is that they want you to like, I think the idea is that they want you to be able to use it, what's it called? Offensively. So there's another way you can use it. So maybe you give up some of your defense for extra DPS, but it isn't that much more. It's just a little bit of cleave damage, which I don't think is as relevant to use. So like, I don't really know. I think there's going to be a lot of discussion around particularly the block. I think it's probably going to be the really big thing about his kit that people are going to be pretty divided on. But I like this guy. I think he is super cool, and I'm excited to play more about him and to give you a little bit more stuff. I have at least 2 videos about Hazard coming out next week. It'll just be my bigger impressions, the good, the bad, and the Hazard, and then I'll also do a fitting Hazard into the meta, because I'm not sure. I really need to play this character more to kind of get what his deal is, right? So with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and if you like this, please consider subscribing. I do really appreciate it. In the comments below, what do you like about Hazard? What do you not like about Hazard? Are you excited to play him? If you haven't already, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. Like the video while you're at it too. This was streamed live, twitch.tv/LaneHemingway. That's Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I like doing this stuff when I go live, some kind of discussion that you can talk to me directly while I film them. Always is a very nice thing to have. And down below, you can join my Discord if you want to talk all things Overwatch. We were just talking about Hazard in there earlier today. So that is all I've got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please have a good day.